Good evening, everyone. How's everybody doing?
Good
Good
evening, Doctor.
evening, Doc.
Good. Good evening, Doc.
Happy Friday, everyone.
Doing
Happy
good.
Friday.
Happy Friday.
Great, great. So like I always say, if even if you didn't have such a great week, is the weekend, so it's time to cool down and get ready for next week, right? And we appreciate you joining. We started a little bit late than usual. Tonight we are privileged to have Michael back again. And this time around is going to be everybody is going to be my co-pilot. We are all going to be, chiming in our questions, and Michael will be more than willing and ready to help us. Now, tonight we have Michael as two in one, right? Michael has held a GRC specialist role, and he's held a GRC manager role also, so he can, answer to both of these roles. So you are welcome. We are starting time now. This is the Eretmis Cyber Chat. We do this every Friday night, 7 p.m. Eastern, and we make sure you always get something for your toolbox. This is a community for you to join if you want to excel in the cybersecurity space. Is a very close-knit family, and we help each other. We we try our best to make sure you get the information, unfiltered cybersecurity information, to be able to help you in your endeavors as a security professional, and then we also give you some tips and tricks to protect yourself in the security space or in the cyberspace. So you are welcome once again. We are starting time now, and Michael, I've seen Michael has joined. Thank you, Michael, for always being there to assist. Now, this month and maybe sometime into next month, our goal is to bring, how to do a lot of the how to. So next week we probably shooting for a vulnerability management, a vulnerability analyst, right? That is the role that we are shooting for, or either or. So we have it lined up. Whoever is ready on the Friday to come and join us, we'll bring that person in. So this is brought to you by Eretmis Academy. And the Eretmis Academy is a cybersecurity institute based out of New York. We teach all types of cybersecurity programs and courses. I'm Dr. Emmanuel Ledoux. I'm going to be your pilot tonight, and everybody on here tonight is going to be my co-pilot, because you're going to be helping ask Michael questions, right? So unlike how we normally will do it, uh, we have our questions, but then you are going to be bringing in your own question. And if there are no questions, then we are going to chime our scene as well. So myself, I'm a former United States Army captain. I'm the CEO of Eretmis Inc. We are a PCI QSA company. We do different types of contracts on the government side, on the corporate side, and then also I'm the founder of Eretmis Academy. We also, like I said, we teach different cybersecurity, and then also a former professor at University of Maryland Global Campus and CTC as well, and a member of the Forbes Technology Council. So with that, we are going to move on. Now, Eretmis Academy, we are partners, authorized partners with CompTIA, and what that means is that we have 20% discount that we push to all our Eretmis members, Eretmis family. So if you are trying to sit for any of the CompTIA exams, kindly reach out and you're going to get a 20% discount. Now, for everyone on here, if you've written any security certifications and you are trying to renew, there are two ways. You can either sit for the exams again, or you can use what we call continuing educational points. So that is simply if you attend, webinars like this, each, I think an hour counts as 1 point. And depending on the certification that you wrote from CompTIA or ISACA or IAC Squares or Security Plus, CISA, Security Analyst, they have different, like the number. So sometimes I think it's from 50 to 20 a year to. So if you are here tonight, you can put in the chat, Team Live, in the chat, and you take a screenshot of that, and that is what you are going to use as your evidence for the 1 point. If we do 2 hours, then you get 2 points that you're going to use towards the renewal of your certification, right? So if you have the certification, you don't have to sit for the exam again. So don't wait for it to the expiration date on it to lapse before you look into renewing it, right? Now, we also have a WhatsApp group for Cyber Chat. So the link will be posted. That way you don't miss, if you join it, everything we post in there is strictly about Cyber Chat and other cybersecurity happenings in the Eretmis community. And our YouTube channel, we are transmitting this live on our YouTube channel. Every session that we have, we post it on our YouTube channel so you can have access to the previous ones. We have over 200 and something cyber chats on our YouTube channel. So and there's a lot that you can learn from. It's a whole university on its own that you can learn from. So we encourage you to go in there, learn more and uh, become a better security professional. So for tonight, for cyber news, we are going to, twist it a little bit and learn something more about the cybersecurity space. So we are not going to do typical cyber news. We are going to look at some areas of cybersecurity, or some of the facts about the cybersecurity industry that maybe probably you overlook, or it's been a while since you saw this, right? So that is what we are going to look at, and then we will jump into uh, our session with Michael. Right. So, but before we jump into the cybersecurity information that we are going to be looking at, our courses that we offer, if you are looking to get ahead in the AI space, AI governance, we have the best AI governance course out there is the AI governance specialist. And this course, you don't necessarily need an IT or cybersecurity background, no experience needed. We take you from zero, build you up. And this doesn't involve coding. You are not going to be the one, coding for AI, but you are going to be the one managing the risks, the governance, the compliance aspect of AI. That is what we are looking at in this course. Now, for cloud, if you are also in the industry already, you are looking to become better, working in the cloud. We have a very solid cloud security program that is vendor neutral. So we take you through all the different providers like Azure, Google Cloud, AWS. Everything that you're going to learn is you are going to learn how to actually do the job as a cloud security professional. And then also, if you find yourself as a manager in that space, what is your strategy? What are the techniques that you are going to use to manage the whole cloud environment in terms of security, right? So also you can jump into this. For all of them, we do live sessions during the week. And then for our cybersecurity entry level course, for anyone trying to start cybersecurity from scratch, this is the best program for you. We take you through 2 months of training and 2 months of internship where you actually work on real world cybersecurity projects, right? So you go from learning and then you move into doing. And also for folks looking to specialize in a niche, arguably the most lucrative niche in the security space. And we say this because for all our students, the most highest paying student that we have now is making 250 plus, and that is a student from the PCI class, right? Now, other ones, everybody's making more than six figures, but for one job, making 250 plus, a quarter of a million, that is from PCI, right? And for our PCI class, we do live sessions also as well during the week. Our next session, our next class is probably tentatively going to start later in we are in March, right? So moving into April, probably the third week, a date to be determined. And for folks who have done some cybersecurity training, but you are lacking the hands-on, you are not confident in yourself that you can work anywhere. You've did maybe third party somewhere, RMF somewhere, we encourage you to join our GRC workshop. This program, you are going to be paired with two of our sister companies, ADDI and Diaspora Care, and you work on real world projects, and we guide you through those projects, right? So we show you how the project is done exactly on the job, and anywhere you find yourself, you'll be able to excel. All our interns or students coming from this program, anywhere they find themselves, they are all superstars in the different roles that they are in different companies. And Bettina, who came through last week, is a product of the entry level and the internship, right? So with that, the WhatsApp group, and then also the YouTube channel. Now we are going to jump into our little discussion for cyber chat, for cyber news, and then we move into our discussion with Michael, right? So let's look at some fun facts that you might have forgotten in the cybersecurity space? All right. I think we have it up. So the first item that we are going to look at is what we call the cybersecurity competency model, right? I know for folks who've taken even our free course, Cybersecurity for Beginners, we spoke about this, right? So I'm showing you exactly where to find this and who came up with the cybersecurity competency model. Now, what informed the cybersecurity competency model? Anybody, know the genesis of the cybersecurity competency model and what it entails? Anyone? So, okay, then I'm going to jump in. So, for like the name suggests, cybersecurity competency model. So, if not for anything, it's talking about competency. So, what are we really referring to, right? I think no, Frank had his hand up. Go ahead, Frank.
Yeah. So, Dr. Edu, so it's about the certifications you need, and it's more or less like the criteria you need for the various roles in the cybersecurity field. Certifications you need to acquire, and the kind of skill set you need. I think that's what it's about.
Okay. Okay. Uh, so yes, we are going to get to the bottom of this. So if this is totally new to you, you can you can be in cybersecurity for years and still not know about this, right? So for us, we always want to go, dig down and find out how things work in the cybersecurity space. And as a cybersecurity professional, you have to be a student of the industry. You have to know what skill sets are needed, whether you're on the right track, in terms of what you're doing. So this is the cybersecurity competency model. This is the model itself, right? We did a cyber chat. I think we spoke about this, but it's a while ago. So this simply is a model that was, if we look at the creators of this, so the cybersecurity competency model, it provides a simplified overview of detailed competencies. So what you have to be competent in to function as a cybersecurity professional. So these competencies were identified by the workforce for cybersecurity, the NICE framework. And I think we've discussed about the NICE framework a while ago, right? So the NICE framework, and let's look at the people who came together to make this happen. The cybersecurity in the United States, which department is responsible for cybersecurity in the United States? Anybody knows? We've mentioned this a lot of times in cyber chat. Is it Department of Education, Department of Homeland Security? Who?
Department of Commerce.
Yes, it's right here. Right. Department of Commerce, they are responsible for cybersecurity in the United States, right? And under them, they work directly with NIST. NIST, they don't just come up with cybersecurity frameworks and publications, but they have publications in, different areas of the sciences and beyond, right? So NIST, they taxed Department of Commerce, they taxed NIST to come up with a set of competencies that are needed in the cybersecurity space, right? So NIST also work with NICE. Anybody knows the full meaning for NICE? The E stands for education. You can look it up on your phone. I mean, now even if you're in cybersecurity for a while, I'm taking you to another school, right? You have to know the science and the things and, strategic point of cybersecurity. That is what we are looking at, right? So the NICE framework was developed by NICE. Who is NICE? Which was led by NIST. So NICE kind of falls under NIST, right? And which also falls under Department of Commerce which is responsible for cybersecurity. So they have the support of Department of Defense and Homeland Security, together with the collaboration of industry players, like on the corporate side, government side, and academia. So everybody who is involved in the doings of cybersecurity, together with the government, because Department of Commerce, they were the ones who pushed for this. They all came together and they developed the cybersecurity competencies. So they didn't just come up with this out of a vacuum. Based on research, talking to cybersecurity professionals, looking at what is going on in the industry, doing surveys and identifying the skills that are needed in the security space for all security professionals who are working. And eventually they came up with this product, which is the cybersecurity competency model. So the competency model, they came up with this, they put it in tiers. So competency level, tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, tier 4, tier 5, right? So this is it right here. Now, tier 1, they discovered that tier 1 was about personal effectiveness competencies. So your interpersonal skills, your integrity, professionalism, initiative, adaptability, flexibility, lifelong learner, right? These were skills or competencies that they identified. So this is tier 1. Now, tier 2 is your academic competencies. So to be able to work in the cybersecurity space, what you need is what I'm going through, right? And this is not Dr. Edu coming up with something. This is, something from all the industry players. So if you want to gauge your level of skill in the security space, this is the grading rubric, right? So for academic competencies, reading, writing, math, science and technology, communication, critical analytic thinking, fundamental IT user skills, right? So for the academic, it didn't say a degree in anything. You have to be able to read and write, obviously, understand technology and science, communication, critical thinking, and you have to be computer literate, pretty much. Now, the next tier is the workplace competencies. So you are going to be working with people, right? How do you really relate to people? How do you work with people? So here they have teamwork, planning and organizing, creative thinking, problem solving and decision making, working with tools and technology, business fundamentals, health and safety. Right. Now, the next level of competencies that we are looking at, industry-wide technical competency or competencies. So cybersecurity technology, information assurance, risk management, incident detection. So we can say incident response, and remediation. So these are the technical competencies they identified. Right now, everything that everybody is doing on the in terms of technicality, cybersecurity technical, pure technical knowledge and skill can all be grouped here. Now, the next one is your industry sector functional areas. So this is the different areas in cybersecurity, like the different functional areas in cybersecurity. So you have management competencies, occupational specific requirements, right? So I encourage everyone to go to this site. If you just Google cybersecurity competency model, it's going to take you to this page and you learn more about how they came about the competency models and what it means, right? So with this, we are going to jump into our next item here. So guess what this is? We just look at the competency model. Now, this is an actual document from the United States Office of Personnel and Management, and it's a memo from them, from the Chief Human Capital Office, and the subject is cybersecurity competency model, and this just outlines what we just looked at, right? And it is grouping it into, so for different occupations, it is giving you different grades, and as you go down, it gives you like the grades and what you need, the skills you need in those areas, right? So cybersecurity competencies by occupation. So information technology management series, it has the list. You go down the list, right? So I bet you can be working in cybersecurity for 200 years and still not know about this if nobody shows you, right? So this is something that you shouldn't take for granted. I encourage everyone to look into this, be a student of the industry and a student of the field you want to get in. Now, the next tool that we are going to look at is what everybody should know, cyberseek.org. Before those, we've also discussed this for a while in different cyber chats. Now, this is also powered all the way, can be traced down to, so look who is here again, NICE and NIST. And this is also attributed to Department of Commerce, right? So what this tool can be used for is this. They have the interactive map or the heat map. If you click on this, it takes you to the map of the United States, right? So this is the whole map of the United States. And if you put your mouse on each state, it gives you total job openings. So this is total cybersecurity job openings in your state. So New York is 16,849, and this is in real time. They track this in real time, right? Missouri is 7,000, Illinois is 19,000, Tennessee 5,000, Albany, Alabama is 8,000, and the list goes on. Georgia is 14, Florida 22,000, right? You can also narrow it down by state, by metro area. So metro areas, you can, even for your state, you can break it down and narrow it down, right? So Baltimore, somewhere, Metro, Columbia, is 13,000. If you come down here to Washington, area is also 60,000. Okay. Charlottesville, 500. And so what I'm trying to show you is you can break it down by metro area, right? Or you can just look at the whole entire state, right? Now, if you come down here, it shows you the total number of cybersecurity jobs openings in the United States as of today, right? So as of today is 457,000 cybersecurity job openings. And it shows you, if you come down here, it shows you the national average. So historical cybersecurity job openings have been going up since 2010, all the way going, right? So for 2025 is plus 68%, right? Now for historical cybersecurity workforce, the workforce have been increasing as well, right? There was a little dip here, but it has been increasing. For the historical supply and demand for cybersecurity professionals. So if you look at the supply is low, the demand is high. So it's always constantly it's been going down, right? And if you come down here, we are looking at the cybersecurity, the different categorizations in cybersecurity. We have it here. Cybersecurity is broken down into 7 main categories, and all that is here. So per job opening for each category, you have it on here, right? And then you have some certifications. So the number of certifications, number of people holding different cybersecurity certifications is what we have on here. So for Security Plus, we have over 265,000 people with Security Plus in the United States. For CISA, we have 91,000 plus people with CISA. For GIAC certifications, we have 46,000. For CISA, I mean, this was CISSP. I take that back. For CISA, it's 35,000. For SIM is 20,000. For CIPP is 13,000. I mean, there are more certifications than these, right? And then if you look at this also, job opening requiring certifications, also you can see on here. So for CISSP, 70 jobs, for Security Plus, 63, and the list goes on, right? So this is place to inform yourself. And then we have another, the career path. So we can look at the career path also. They have entry-level roles. We have also mid-level roles. We have advanced level roles. So if you click on any of these, it shows you the average salary, the number of job openings, and then also where you can move from this entry-level role. You can move into security analyst and other roles. Right now, this is by no means all the roles in entry level in cybersecurity or in mid-level or advanced level. But this is just to help guide you, right? So for different roles and amount of what you should expect for salary, right? This is a good tool. And then also you have like educational institutions that you can look for on here as well. I think we had Eretmis on here. Right, Eretmis right there, also listed on the CyberSeek website, right, right in the heart of New York. All right, so this is what we are going over for Cyber Chat, not necessarily Cyber Chat, but I think this is a very good refresher of some of the areas that you can use to get some more information about the cybersecurity industry. So whether you are in already or you are trying to get in, this is we give you the information to do more research and to make informed decisions. Right. So any questions on what we looked at before we bring in Michael? All right, everyone. So appreciate everybody's time. Mike, thank you for joining us. Kindly let us know if you are on here and your audio and your mic is working fine.
Yeah, hello, Doc. Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me good?
Yes.
Okay.
All right. So, Mike, if you can give us a quick intro about your name, yourself, what you are doing now in the security space, and then we'll take it from there. And
Okay.
everybody can kindly make their questions ready. So, because as soon as Mike is done with that, we are going to give you the chance to raise your virtual hand, and then you ask your question, and then we move on. We move on to the next person. Right. Mike, kindly go ahead.
All right. Yeah. So, hello, everybody. Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are. So, yeah. So, I'm Michael, and I've been with the Eretmis family for about a good 3 years. Yeah. So it'll be exactly 3 years because I joined Eretmis in 2022, and I'm currently a GRC analyst. So, in the cybersecurity space, with my day-to-day job duties, I oversee all areas that fall under GRC, right? So from governance, risk, and compliance. So for governance, anything policy, right? So from policy, standards, processes, and guidelines. And then when it comes to the risk part, right? So definitely risk management, and then a huge part of risk management is third-party risk management, right? So that's one area that I oversee and manage as well for my company, and also the compliance part, right? So definitely ensuring that.
Kindly mute yourselves. Okay. Kindly go ahead, Mike. Oh, you are muted, Mike, if you're trying to speak. I muted everyone.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Am I okay now?
Yes, you are good.
Okay. Yes. So definitely, I also oversee, the R part of the GRC, the C part of the GRC, which is compliance. So with compliance comes auditing, right? So ensuring that our company stays in compliance with, the standards that we've actually been be working in staying in compliance with, which is SOX, and then SOC 2. So yeah, so those are some of the areas that I manage. There is more to that. So definitely with the questions that I'm going to get tonight, we can go more into details and explore more into the various areas that I currently manage. So hopefully that was a good intro. And if not,
Yes.
just ask me anything that comes to mind.
Okay, Mike. Thank you. So you can start raising your virtual hand, and as we are going through, we will allow you to ask your questions to Mike. So, Mike, I think there is a first question. Uchioma, please go ahead.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Edo, for this opportunity. Hi, Mike. So my question is, what's the primary responsibility of a GRC manager?
Okay, yeah. So good question. Yeah. So you're right. So responsibility for a GRC manager, GRC specialist, GRC analyst, right? They don't change, right? And I did refer to those processes that I currently manage, right? So number one, as a GRC manager, you have to ensure that the governance aspects, right, when it comes to cybersecurity, is taken care of. So with that, I mean, when it comes to policies, right? So number one, you have to make sure that you maintain, right? So key word is maintain, review, and update company policies, standards, procedures, and guidelines, right, on a timely manner, right? So generally for our company, example, policies has to be renewed every 1 year, right? So we make sure that all our cybersecurity policies or information security or IT policies are renewed within the year. Same goes for standards, same goes for processes, and same goes for guidelines, right? And there is a process in place, and we can get into the details of that. But with your question, I just want to, just give you a couple of areas that a GRC manager or analyst is going to actually oversee, right? So policy is one, and one other one is I brought up audits earlier as well. So with audit, right? So depending on whatever company you work for, so the company you work for might be in compliance with ISO, might be compliant with PCI, right? Might be in compliance with NIST, SOC, SOC 2, right? So with that, you are actually the one who is going to, right? You're going to work with both your internal teams and then external auditors to make sure that your company maintains that certification, right? So if you are, let's say, ISO 27001 compliant, ISO 27001, you are going to get audited every year, right? So you have a first year of audit, which we call the certification audit. And then the next 2 years is going to be a surveillance audit. So you're going to have a certification audit, next year, surveillance audit. Third year is going to be a surveillance audit, and then they're going to come back and redo a certification audit, right? So that's an example with ISO. So in that case, your role is to make sure that for the entire 3 year cycle, you make sure that your company stays in compliance and maintains that certification, right? So if it's an ISO certification, you have to work with your internal teams, with the external auditor, with your internal audit team to make sure that that certification, the company maintains it, and then make sure that the certification is actually, in good standing, and that then that certification can be provided to, vendors, customers, or or the government if they come asking, right? So or whichever third party request for that certification. So those are some of the things you oversee as a GRC manager, as well as one key factor is we talk about the importance of people's in the company, right? So ensuring that people actually are getting cybersecurity training, right? IT training, so training and awareness, which is key as well, right? So those are some of the things, functions, or domains that a GRC manager will oversee. So, so number one, making sure that the governance aspect is taken care of, so policies, and then risk management, that we are actually managing our risks. And then three, we are staying in compliance with whichever framework the company, is currently in good standing with. So hopefully I was able to answer your question.
Yes, thanks for that detail and
We have another question from Moise, or if I got
Yes,
your name
good
right.
afternoon. Yeah, Michael, congratulations, brother. My question will be, did you start as a manager or you start, because you said you have a 3 years experience.
Yes.
So did you start straight as a manager or you start as a entry level and then you gain skills, knowledge, and you've been promoted? How did you start your career with your current job? Thank you.
Yeah, so I started as a junior GRC analyst, and then with the years and with experience, I got to a point where like now I'm actually managing those areas, right? So like with when I first started, if something goes wrong with one of those areas that I mentioned, they're not going to be looking at me, right? They're going to be looking at my manager, and then my manager is going to be looking at me, right? But currently, with all those areas, if something goes wrong, they're going to be looking at me because I'm actually in charge of ensuring that number one, our policies are being reviewed and updated, annually, as I said earlier. Number two, that all vendors that like any vendors that actually are onboarded. So anybody we do business with must meet our minimum cybersecurity requirements, right? We do have requirements in place that they have to meet. So I have to ensure that every vendor, right, that's going to have example, right, access to any sensitive information data for our company or access to our network. They have to go through that process, which we call a security review. So I have to manage, right, make sure that every vendor that comes through our company that touches those sensitive points have to go through a security review, right? I have to make sure that all employees get a cybersecurity training, right? A compliance training at least once a year. And for new hires, making sure that new hires also are assigned those trainings, right? I have to make sure that we have a risk register in place. So like it's really a lot of stuff, but the difference from being a junior analyst than a manager is that, right, something goes wrong, they're coming straight for you. But back to your question, I actually started as a GRC specialist, and then just build up little by little to where I got to as of now.
All
All
right.
right, thank you so much. Thank you.
All right. I think there's a question in the chat for you, Michael. How much change do you typically see on your policy yearly? How much changes do you see on your policies yearly? And that is from Jill.
Okay, yeah, that's actually a great question, right? So, and to answer your question, I'll back up a little bit, right? So generally, when I talk to students, mainly from Eretmis or or students that are not part of Eretmis, when we talk about policies, right, people generally have in mind and get scared that, hey, like I have to get into a company and then I have to build a policy, right, or a standard from scratch. But 90% or 95% of the time, you're going to be joining a company that already have those policies, and procedures and standard in place, right? So your main job is going to be just to update, review, and then make sure that they go through the approval process. And then once they approve, you publish it and make it available to everybody within the company. But going back to your question, like like I would say probably 85, 90% of the time is just a minimal, updates. Like there is no huge updates unless there is a huge technological, right, aspect that, let's say, that change from year to year. Then if not, generally we just review it, make sure that everything is still relevant, it makes sense. So in that case, you're actually going to be working with the policy owners, right? And that's one thing. So you as the GRC person, manager or analyst or whoever it is in terms of GRC, you actually don't owe all cybersecurity policies, right? So every policy within the company has an owner. And most of the technical policies, there is an engineer who actually owns the policy. So you're actually going to be working with that engineer. So that engineer, so let me just pick, an example. So example, let's say our encryption policy, right? So for encryption policy, my role as a GRC analyst is overseeing that policy gets updated on a timely basis or in a timely manner. So what I do is once I know that the policy, so generally we use a GRC tool, right, which helps us with which basically helps us with automation. So once the policy is up for renewal, so generally maybe 2 or 3 months before the policy, expires, basically the tool is going to alert me, send me a notification to let me know, hey, the encryption policy it's up for renewal. So what I do in turn is once I know that this encryption policy is up for renewal, I schedule a time with whoever is the policy owner. In that case, it's going to be our cybersecurity engineers, right? So I get on a call with them, and then with them, we go through the policy and then they update the policy. So generally, policy updating, it's minimal changes. But like let's say one example that I see for coming is when we talk about quantum encryption, right? So definitely at some point, quantum encryption is going to come up. And in that case, definitely there's going to be a huge update or change to our encryption policies. But on a yearly basis, we really don't see that much of changes, and there's no major changes between 1 year, 1 year to the other. So generally, the changes are minor. But one thing that you have to keep in mind is that you're actually going to work with whoever is an expert, because for every policy you have, there's an expert for that policy, right? You GRC, you are just overseeing and making sure that those policies are updated. But definitely we do have policies that the GRC team owns, right? So that policy, you are the expert on those policies. Example, right? So we have a policy for how we manage our third-party risk, vendors. That policy, I actually own that policy. So if that policy, when that policy is due for update, I'm actually the one who is doing the updates, right? But for the most part, every policy, just keep in mind, every policy has an owner, and your role is to work with the owners to make sure that those policies are updated. Because guess what? If the policy is not updated right and goes beyond the timing of that policy, they're not going to go to the owner to ask the owner, hey, why didn't you update the policy? They're going to be coming to you, the GRC analyst, because you oversee the governance aspect of the company. So it's your role to ensure that whenever the policy is up for renewal, you get with the policy owners and then you work with the policy owners. And once the updates are done, you take it to the approval process, right? And the approval process for like my company, once the policy owner, is done, we are all done with the review and updates. We push it to the director, and once the director approves it, it goes straight to the CISO. And once the CISO approves it, that means we have the okay to publish it, and make it available to everybody in the company. So hopefully I was able to answer the question.
All right, Michael, thank you for that. And I have something also to chip in. So during your internship, the GRC internship that you went through, you worked on policies. So from what you are describing now, sounds like you are doing less work than you did in the internship. What is your take on that?
Yes, absolutely. So in an internship, you actually, have to build a policy from scratch, right? But like at my work, when I joined, the company already had their policies in place, right? So all I had to do is just get with the policy owners and then make the minor updates from year to year, right? But actually in the internship, you actually get to build a policy from scratch, which is great because you don't know where you might end up, right? You might end up in a company that doesn't have any policies in place. So in that case, you already have the knowledge and the experience from, doing the internship. So, like, if I should have gotten a job where they didn't have anything in place, I've already been through the internship, so I've been tested, right? So I was going to be able to come up and help the company build the policies. But definitely, if you end up in a company that actually already have their policies in place, then it's easier for you, right? Because you don't have to actually build it on scratch. All you have to do is just pick up whatever they have in place and then make sure that is updated on an annual basis, and then make sure that it's relevant, and then it just makes sense. So definitely, yes, I'm doing less than what I did actually in the internship when it comes to
Okay.
policies.
Yeah, and then
Yeah.
also one thing that I want to add as a follow-up, like what tools do you use to review your policies and what tools do you use for, I know you mentioned a tool that it gives you an alert if your policy is coming up due, right? But aside that, when it comes to making changes to the policies or reviewing the policies, what tool do you really use to do that?
Yes. So we use the almighty Word, right? So Word was the simplest tool out there, right? So that's why we keep preaching, like focus on your Microsoft 365, which is Word, PowerPoint, and Excel. But definitely for documentation review, yes, and we do everything in Word. So like we do everything in Word, and everything is tracked in Word, right? So we have it set up in a way that whoever comes in and makes a change, it tracks it. We know who was the last person to touch the document. That way we track every change and we track any minor updates that's made to the policy, all up to the CISO, right? So everything, anybody who comes in contact with the document on Word and touches that document, there is a tracker in place, and it tells you what time, the date and time, and what changes were made to the document. So we all we do is use Word. It's no fancy tool, right? The majority of the work is done in Word, but then definitely you have your GRC tool that alerts you because there's no way you can remember when all your policies are due, right? So you have to rely on tools like GRC tools to help you automate some of those items, right? But definitely the bulk and the majority of the work is actually done in Microsoft Word.
Okay, and there was a question in here. So somebody was asking, what is your typical day like? And that
Yes,
was
typical.
Olu Kimi. Oh, kind of go ahead.
Okay. Yeah. So typical day, yes. So great question, right? So I get up, so I work from home, thank God. Great. So, and that comes with the flexibility we all know, but definitely back to the question. So first, once I get, to my office at home, get on my laptop, I read my emails, look at my team's, messaging. So number one, I check my emails to see if, anybody within the team reach out to me, or if, a vendor reach out to me, or if my manager reach out to me through emails, right? And then I go to my team's channel, look at if there is any messaging, because Teams is just like what being on WhatsApp, right? You can send instant messages. So I check there to see if there's any internal communication that I missed from my teammates or from anybody within the company. So we work closely with the legal department. So just to see if maybe one of the attorneys or lawyers did reach out to me for something or anything. So once I check my emails and my teams, I check my calendar for the day, right? So I check my calendar for the day and then I plan my day. So based on what my calendar says, I'm going to plan my days accordingly, right? So some days I have, several meetings. Some days I have less meetings, right? So based on how many meetings I have, I actually plan my work around. So sometimes, let's say I have a security review that I'm working on for a vendor, right? So if I know that, hey, I'm going to have maybe 3 or 4 hours of meetings today, then I'm just going to dose pace myself to ensure that I can get that security review for that vendor in within that daily schedule, right? So everything is based on my calendar. So yeah, so sometimes daily, sometimes I'll have well, definitely we have meetings every morning. internal meetings for the cybersecurity team. So with cybersecurity team, I mean we have the GRC team, we have the security operations team, right, and we have the cybersecurity engineers, and as well as our director of information security. So we sit down, we have our morning meeting, and then that's where we discuss what are our plans for the day, right? So you discuss what are your plans, or if you have any issues, or let's say something that you are working on, and if you need help, from somebody from the engineering team or from the cyber operations team, that's where you bring it up. Or if somebody from the engineering team needs help from the GRC team, that's where we bring it up, right? And not to say that you can't always reach out during the day. You can always reach out during the day, but like that's where the morning meeting is where we all, just meet, talk about our daily plans, and then come up with how, we are going to execute on those plans. And then so basically we have our morning meetings, and then I might have a meeting with maybe the legal team because I'm working on a contract for a client. So sometimes, whenever we onboard a new vendor, they have to go through, we have what we call a security exhibit, right? So a security contract. So for sometimes I have to do the review, and once I do the review, I have to finalize the review with the legal team because generally the legal team is the ones who have the final say. Those are the guys who actually have to sign the document, right? So I have to like do a final review with them. So sometimes I might have to have a team with the legal team, or I might have to have a meeting with HR because sometimes let's say I've updated our training awareness material, right? So once I update it, I set up a meeting with HR, review with HR, because they are the guys who actually have to send out those training compliance materials to the entire company, right? To all employees. So I get with them, I just sit them down. We review the changes that I made from last year, and then, explain to them, hey, this is when I want the trainings to be assigned. So we work it out. So day to day, it's a lot of meetings, right? GRC, it's all meetings, right? And then based on your free times, you can schedule because then you have other projects that you're working on, right? Like policy review, you actually have to get on the call and do the review, right? So generally, you have to be on the call. If it's you that own a policy, then you're going to be the one, spending time going through the Word documents and making the changes. If not, if it's somebody else who owns that policy, you're going to be on the call with that person. You're going to be sharing your screens, and then you're going to be doing the updates, right? So like for how day to day looks like a lot of meetings, and then when you don't have meetings, you just fit in your projects, right? So policy review, third party risk management, training awareness, phishing simulation. I mean, it's a whole lot, right? So, but that's the beauty of being a GRC analyst. You manage a lot, but then you have the flexibility to be able to fit everything within your schedule and then make it work. So hopefully I was able to
All
answer that question.
all right, Mike. Thank you. Leonard, please go ahead. Your hand has been up for a while.
Yes. Hi, Michael, and hi, Dr. Du. Thank you for everything. Well, I recently started a new PCI role. It's contract, and I find myself dealing with imposter syndrome from time to time. I know a lot about PCI. I have several years now experience in it, but the project management side of it, I still at times feel like a novice when it comes to project management or just general things that I may not know or remember. So, what is a good way to manage imposter syndrome? How do you manage it?
All right. So
So
I think
yeah, go ahead,
Mike,
Dr. Yeah.
before Mike comes in, Leonard, I think you are so wrong. You've not been reaching out. There is a lot of army behind you, PCI soldiers behind you. So
Mhm.
I'm just hearing about your new role just now,
You
right?
know, I was actually I no longer have access to the Eretmis group, and I've been trying to get back into it, but
Oh, really?
yeah, it
So
seems
just
like
use the link. Yeah, just use the link in here to join, or I mean, you can also shoot an email. You can always reach out
okay,
or go to the website and make an appointment, and we are going to get with you. Because and Lena
okay.
she's one of our PCI was one of our PCI students. She went through the whole entire night, so that is why I'm saying she's so wrong if she's not reaching out for help and to discuss. And sometimes you might be right. You just need somebody to affirm what you are thinking and the direction you want to go, right?
Yes, and
So,
there actually have been a lot of people within Eretmis who have helped me along the way, and I greatly appreciate all of them.
Yes. Yeah.
including
So
you, Dr. Du.
yeah, so kindly reach out. I mean, whatever you are working on, you've done so much during the internship. You worked on different projects. So it's
Mhm.
just maybe some of it you just have to refresh, or we have to point you in the, hey, you remember you did this and that. Right.
Yeah.
And so, but I'll just let Michael answer because Michael also started a new role a while ago. So he can give you some pointers. So Michael, please go ahead.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely. I think, Dr. Yeah, so you said like the bigger part of it is, which I was going to say, yes, definitely, you have an army, as Dr. Du said, right? So some of us, we've been doing this not for too long, but at least, you could, yeah, definitely you have the resources, and I'm glad you're going to be taking, you're going to be taking the Dr. Du's, what do you say, offer, or making sure you reach out to some of the folks that we have within the PCI domain, right? And also the GRC analyst,
Mhm.
because PCI is still audit, right? So it still falls on the GRC as well. So,
Yeah.
but to specifically answer your question, so when I got on the job, right, I actually was confident because I've been through the GRC internship with Dr. Do, right? So there was no in point where I was even with my interview, right? So with my hiring manager, basically my interview, this is how it went, right? We got on the call and he told me like they are ready to hire right now. Just give him a rundown of all the areas that I manage within the GRC, domain. So all I did was I just gave him a rundown from all what we did from week 1 to week 10 during the GRC internship, right? So starting number one, right? So I think, yeah, number one was audit. I brought up audit, how we did audit in the internship, and then also brought up incident response, third-party risk management. So I just gave him like week 1, like this is what we did week 1. Even though we did it as a project, right? I was speaking to it like it was something that I've actually been doing for years, even though like the internship lasted for 3 months, right? So when I got a job, I had that confidence. But definitely, yes, you do have a certain time or certain points where you actually do feel that that imposter syndrome. But I basically, the way I actually was able to overcome the imposter syndrome was I was just relying a lot of the knowledge, right, I got from the internship. So that was actually, so like whenever that comes to me, I just keep telling myself, I know I can do this because I've actually done it, right? I know I can do this because I've actually done it. So, and just try to stay
Mhm.
consistent. I just kept staying consistent because basically all what I was, and even all what I'm currently doing right now, right, like managing all those areas, those are all things that I did in the internship, right? So if you actually, spend the time and, spend a solid amount of time and actually work during the internship, once you get on the job, little by little, you're going to build that confidence, right? Because it's lack of confidence, and that with that confidence, it takes time, right? So with time, it's gonna build up. It's gonna build up, right? So don't be too scared and don't be too worried. Just stay consistent to what you know, because whatever you got from that PCI class is actually gonna enable you to actually do well on the job, right? So it's just a matter of time. And basically all I'm gonna say is that is gonna come with that confidence building is gonna come with time, right? You can build that in 1 day, in 2 days, or in 3 days, right? But definitely you have the resources,
Right.
people to reach out to, but just be nice to yourself, right? Just be good to yourself. Give yourself the time to be able to understand the new environment that you are in, right? You might be a
Mhm.
PCI analyst from a company for 15 years, but you get to another company. Every company is different, right? The way
Yep.
one company does things is different from the way another company does it, right? So sometimes you even have people who have been in an industry for like 10 years, but when they move to a different company, they still struggle, right? Because it's always hard. Every company is different, right? So just be nice to yourself, give yourself that time and build up your confidence. And with time, you're gonna get over that, imposter syndrome. So that would be my advice because that's the way, I was able to overcome that.
Okay. Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
Thank you, Michael. So there was a question in here talking about uh, pay. So when you moved from from like GRC specialist to GRC manager, what was or GRC analyst? Well, was that like a big pay jump or
Yes, it
how?
was. Absolutely. Yes, it was. It was. Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, Dr. Bruce, says his figures, but like currently and on a yearly basis, like what I make is between let's say I'll say 240 and 280 in 1 year. So yeah. So I think that answers that, right? I'm not gonna give the exact figure, but you can make the math between 240 and 280. So you can make the math on your own. right? So yeah, hopefully that answers that.
Okay, yes. So, uh, okay, I think this was just a comment in there. And
Okay.
for Andy, we will post the link so you'll be able to have that. And somebody says, can you give us a rundown on how an audit is carried out from your role with your IT team and the external auditors? Uh, how does the communication between the various departments in your organization coordinate with you and the external auditor?
Yeah, that's a great question, right? So, okay, so let me break it down, right? So, audits, right, is done in cycles. So you know where your audit cycle is going to be every year, right? So let's say, okay, example for generally for us, SOC 2, right? It goes through January through October. So we are like constantly interviewing teams. So number one, you pick up, the audit firm that you're going to be working with, right? So I'm just going to the basis, right? So let's say you get to a company, the company is in compliance with SOC 2 or ISO, but then the company, puts you in charge and in ensuring that they actually meet the requirements for that standards, and then that they maintain the certification, right? So everything from scratch. So you, the GRC analyst, you go on the job site. So number one, you have to look for a reputable audit third party audit firm that you are going to be working with, right? So you choose the company, and then you sit down with the company, the audit firm, and then what we call is like an introductory meeting, right? You explain what you guys are actually trying to achieve, right? The goals for the company with the external auditor, and then you start talking about the standard, right? So number one key factor is talking about the scope. Okay, so you external auditor, right? You're going to be auditing us, let's say, from January to maybe March, right? On ISO 27001. Okay, so we have an initial meeting with the external auditor, and then we talk about the scope, right? So what are the areas that you're going to be looking at, right? Because there is no way an external auditor is going to be coming in and looking at everything, every single, like every piece of your IT controls, like every single area, right? So you have to like come up with a scope, which you have to agree upon with the external auditor. So once you have the scope, you've agreed upon the scope with the external auditor, you know what teams are going to be involved in the meeting, right? Which is key as well. So number one, you know the timing of when the audit is going to occur, you know what the scope is because you've talked to the external auditor, and then you get with your team, right? So you get with your team. Definitely, every audit they're going to talk to, right? The network engineering team. They're going to talk to the cybersecurity engineering team. Definitely, they're going to talk to HR, right? They might talk to legal as well, because like some items or some areas like incident response also touches the legal department. So like it might be different areas or different departments within the company. So number one, you work with your internal team. So we have what we call the kickoff meeting, right? So the kickoff meeting, that's going to be between, so like the first meeting you've had it with the external auditor, you guys have spoken and agreed upon the scope, and then you're going to have a kickoff meeting with your internal team, right? So that kickoff meeting, that's where you're going to explain to them, hey, you're going to get audited, maybe from January to March, right? And this is the scope that we, the internal audit team or the GRC team, agreed upon with the external auditor. And these are the teams that are going to be interviewed, right? So on that kickoff call, you have the internal meeting. You guys discuss the scope, and then you let your internal, departments or the teams that are going to be interviewed. You let them know, hey, right? These are the areas that are going to be interviewed. And then with your internal team, you agree upon the schedule, right? So if the meeting, the audit is going to take place between January and March, maybe one team will prefer to be interviewed maybe in February, right? Another team may prefer to be interviewed in January or in March, right? So you work with the internal team, and then you come up with the audit schedule. So once you have the audit schedule, you share the audit schedule with the external auditor, right? And then once the external auditor, has the audit schedule, he can provide you with some feedback. And once he provides you the feedback, you guys agree. You can have another meeting if you want. You know, basically have as much as meetings you want until you conclude with the audit schedule. And once you conclude with that audit schedule, it's final, right? Not that you can, switch things around. Maybe, hey, the day of the audit, maybe somebody from the HR team's daughter is sick or kid is sick, so they might not make it to that interview, right? So you can switch things around. Maybe instead of that they do in HR, right? And I'm just giving, real world examples of, because sometimes you plan things ahead of time, but things happen, right? So things happen, and then you have to reshuffle things around, right? So once you have your audit schedule, you work with the external auditor, right? If he has any feedback on the audit schedule, you work around it, and then you finalize it. So once you finalize it, then the audit is going to take place. So whatever we have, on the audit schedule, that's what we are going to go by doing the audit. So if maybe January 14th, you're going to be talking to HR, you as the GRC analyst or internal auditor for the company, you're going to sit, in the meeting, right? So whilst the interview is going on, you're going to be in there. And what's your role? Your role is to ensure that the auditor, right, the external auditor stays in scope, right? Because sometimes once you're in an audit, people ask questions and people start, speaking, and sometimes they go out of scope, right? And with auditors, whatever you say, they write down, right? Whatever you say, they write down. So your role is more or less the role of a facilitator, or we call it liaison, right? So you're just there to make sure that, hey, number one, the external auditor stays in scope and that he doesn't go out of scope, right? And then number two, that whatever answer, the internal person from your team, is providing to the external auditor actually aligns with what the scope says, right? So, and whenever anybody goes out of scope, we are within your rights as an internal auditor or GRC analyst to come in and be like, hey, no, like this actually is out of scope, so we're not going to be going to this area. Let's just stick to the scope of the audit, right? So you're going to do this for all the areas. So if it's HR, you're going to do this for HR, for engineering team, right? For legal, I mean, whoever it is that they're going to be talking to, you're going to be doing the same process with everybody till the audit is over, right? So definitely, I'm trying to speed it up because I know we have a lot of questions, but that's how the process works. And then once the external auditor has gone through all the interviews with all the areas and departments, they're going to issue a draft report, right? So you're going to review the draft report, and then if you feel like, hey, like you weren't basically, you didn't make us justice on this area, you can discuss with them, and then you can sit down with them, have a call with them, go through the draft report, and tell them, no, we feel like these areas maybe you gave us, moderate, right? Instead of maybe low risk, you give us moderate, right? So we can negotiate. Like there's a negotiating phase where you guys negotiate. Still, you agree, and then once you agree on the report, the auditor is going to, issue a final report, and then you're going to share the final report with all stakeholders, right? So, I mean, this is the process. There's a lot more to it, but I just, wanted to just give you the high level areas so we can move on with the meeting. But hopefully, this gives you an idea about what your role is going to be when it comes to facilitating or making sure that your company maintains their certification. It might be ISO, it might be SOX, it might be, PCI, whatever it is, but basically that's how the process works.
All right, Michael. So there's a question here. I'll read like three, and then you are going to go through all of them. So the very last question in here is, what company do you work for? Okay, so what company do you work for, and what industry is your company in? That is one. The next one is, what was the onboarding like? So when you got there, the onboarding process, did they provide any additional training or orientation to get you familiar with with the company and its structures? So you can start with the company and the industry that your company is in, and then you can tackle the onboarding. Did you get any additional training? How was your onboarding like before you started the job?
Okay, yeah. So, okay, good question. Yeah. So I work for a company called Intrado. So we actually in telecommunications. So basically, we actually is a company, that actually builds so like how when you call 911, right? So like if I'm currently in Atlanta, Georgia, and when I call 911, it goes to 911 dispatch in Atlanta, right? Let's say Dr. Du is in Bronx, New York, right? Dr. Du calls 911, it goes to the dispatch. So we actually build that software, that reroutes all the 911 calls, right? So it's actually a critical, company when it comes to like infrastructure and stuff like that. So yes, so company name is Intrado, so that's what we do. So we build the software that actually reroutes all 911 calls. So you can imagine how, huge cybersecurity for us is, right? Because if we are shut down, that means every 911 call, it's not going to go to the right place. It's going to be a total mess. So like it's really critical for us to make sure that our operations are always up and running, right? And I think the second question was how was the onboarding, right? So for onboarding, So yes, definitely, I do have another GRC person that I work with. So yes, they did provide me, some training, but I came in and I was expected to actually know all the basics of GRC. But like as I said earlier, every company is different, right? So like to be able to function, you have to know your environment, right? So you have to know what you have and what you don't have, right? So there was no way I could walk into my company and start, just maybe reviewing contracts for vendors or doing security reviews because I don't know what we had in place, right? So it took me a while, but I would say I had a good training for about like 3 months, even though, like about a month, I was actually working on my own, but I was working on my own under the supervision of another GRC analyst. Still, I felt comfortable to be able to do everything on my own, right? But for like a good 3 months, yes, I did have some training. And even though sometimes, or for the most part, I was working on my own, I was always doing it under supervision of another GRC analyst. And I'm not sure what was the other question.
So yeah, I think that like that was it.
Okay,
Let me
okay,
just go
okay,
back and see if I missed anything in there.
okay,
Okay, okay, I think like that was it. Now a follow-up
okay.
question on here. Uh, Jamel is asking what your starting salary, but I think you can give a range. But before the starting salary, Carla is asking, did you work in IT previously? And
No,
what other courses did you take or did you complete beside the GRC internship? That
no,
so like what? Okay, so kindly go ahead.
okay, yes. So yeah, so no to that question. I didn't work in IT previously, so I came from a healthcare background, right? And you see it a lot of us, who came from the healthcare background with a lot of nurses, right? And who, got through Eretmis and then I currently working in the industry. So no, I didn't, get any IT. I didn't have any prior IT, experience or anything or any such thing. So, basically came straight from the healthcare background and then enrolled in the entry level course, right? Where I did the theory and then I enrolled in the cybersecurity internship offered by Eretmis. Yeah. And what was the other question again, Dr. Do? Think I
Yeah,
missed
so
that.
and then the follow-up is, did you do any other courses beside the Eretmis course, the entry level and the internship, or that was all
No,
you
no.
did to be able to get a
Yeah,
job?
that was all I did. Yeah, that's all I did to be able to get a job. I didn't do anything else. Didn't, waste my time or spend time. I just went straight to Eretmis, did my entry level, did the internship, and then started working. So yeah.
Okay, and there's another one. Did you have any cybersecurity certifications before you started work or before you started applying?
No, I didn't. So actually, when I landed my job, I actually didn't have a certification, right? But I did tell them I was going to get a certification, which I did get, at some point. So yeah, so currently I have the Security Plus, and I do have the CISA as well, which the company paid for. So yeah.
Okay, so I'm kind of jumping some of the questions here, but we will look at and we will go through every single question. Jared is asking to okay, somebody just brought another one. So uh okay, how can you compare your internship at Eretmis and what you are doing in your real job now? That is the question that somebody is asking.
Yeah, yeah, and I mean, yeah. To this question, if you can refer back to earlier, and I was saying like for my even interview, right, for my job, like I just worked with my manager through what I did throughout the internship, right? So like for the internship, we did do the governance aspect of GRC, which is the policies, and I was actually saying earlier that we actually had to build our policies from scratch during the internship, which I don't have to do, in my current job. I just have to make sure we update the policies that we currently have in place, and sometimes once in a while our manager will come up and say, yeah, like we have to, like recently, we have to come up with a new policy from scratch, but that was like a policy that the engineers own, right? So actually, I just have to work with them and make sure that whatever they put in makes sense, right? So even though we have to do it from scratch, I wasn't the one actually, doing it from scratch. I just, was on the call with them and reading it through to make sure that whatever we put in the documentation, just made sense. So yeah, so like policies, third-party risk management. Currently, I manage our third-party risk management. I did that in the internship as well. Auditing. I've spoken a lot on audits, which I also covered during the internship. Incident response, right? So I'm part of the incident response team, which was also covered during the internship. What else? I mean, everything basically that I'm basically doing now was covered in the internship, right? I just like right now I just do it more and more frequently compared to having to do it, been doing it for like just 3 months during the internship, right? But whatever you're going to get through the internship is actually going to prepare you to be able to survive and, and work comfortably, within the cybersecurity industry.
Okay, and there's a question here that Ernestina is saying, but is it better to have some tier security plus now before applying since the market is saturated?
Oh
So,
yeah, definitely. Yes. I mean, the more you have, the best it is, right? Because now it's so competitive, it's so saturated. So I mean, if you have a bachelor's degree, that's a plus. If you have a certification, that's a plus, right? So whatever certification you can get your hands on, just go ahead. But what I would say is, don't just wait to get a certification before you start applying, right? So start applying whilst we are working on the certification, right? So, but definitely, the more you have, definitely the best it is. I mean, yeah. Like right now, yes, if you ask me, do I need a certification? I'll advise you, yes, go ahead and get it, right? But just don't wait till you get a certification before applying. Just go ahead and apply because I know people who got jobs without no certifications, right? So, and I'm one of those, right? So definitely you can get a job without certification, but if you have it, it's still, best to have it than not to. So if you can afford it and have the time to sit down and sit down, study, and write the exam, definitely go ahead and do it. But don't just let that limit you when it comes to application. Go ahead and apply till you learn till you get your certification.
all right. So, and also to add to that, uh, if however you want to look at it, if you say the market is saturated, not exactly, right? The fact that everybody wants to apply to a cybersecurity job doesn't make it saturated. Now, if you get a chance to go to an interview, uh, they are not necessarily going to look at your certification and give you a pass. You still have to tell them what you've done, what projects have you worked on, and what can you do for us. That is what is going to separate you from everybody else who just know theory and just want to apply and speak because they know they can talk, right? So, but that does not also mean, like Michael said, you have the time. You have to work on, even if you are in the, like Michael right now, Michael should start working on CISSP and other ones, which he is doing, right? You have to continuously be improving yourself. If you looked at what we started with a competency model, the tier one said you have to be a lifelong learner, right? That is one of the skills needed in cybersecurity. So being a lifelong learner simply is you are improving yourself, you are learning. So if when you have a certification, what it tells your potential employer is that you are a lifelong learner, right? You don't wait. You are improving yourself. You are working on it. But that really shouldn't also prevent you from applying because nobody, after interviewing you, going through all the three interview stages that you're going to go through, if you come up top, they are not going to say because you don't have a certification, they're not going to give you the job. No company will do that. Unless, of course, if probably they are on a contract, maybe a government contract, and they need 4 CISSPs, 5 security plus. For that, before they even start interviewing you, they will let you know, hey, if you don't have CISSP, that this position is for CISSP, right? And there are very few of those, right? So, yes, if you think the industry is saturated, that is fine. But parading 5 certifications that you got by just memorizing test questions and passing those certifications, that is not going to cut it, right? Because you don't have the knowledge and skill to back it up. Two, you've not worked on any projects. So you are going to look like a moron during interviews because you have all these certifications and they're like, oh, okay, sure, you have CISSP, CISA, Security Plus, okay. And they ask you basic kindergarten cybersecurity questions and you're all over the place, right? So make sure for certifications, you are not getting ahead of yourself in terms of knowledge and skill. So it's like you are traveling at night. You don't want to go faster than your light can see because you're going to end up crashing. So pace yourself when it comes to certifications. Don't use 3 months to get CISSP, CISA, Security Plus. Parade, that is not what is going to get you the job. Because if that is, then when you apply and they see all those certifications, they should just give you the job with no interview, right? So to be competitive, work on some projects, right? Because even if you parade all these certifications and let's say they were giving you the job without an interview, what are you going to do on the job? Like what Michael is doing right now. If you have CISAs, CISSB, and 10 other certifications, and you didn't work on any projects, and they throw you in this mix with all these moving pieces, you are going to be what I call a working heart attack. So there you are, your wife is happy, your husband is happy, you got this job, you are making all this money, but for you it's a nightmare. You go to bed, you don't even want to wake up. You wish every day is Saturday, right? Because you don't know what is going to happen on the job. Maybe they are going to troubleshoot you. So yes, certifications are good, work on them, but what your focus should be on is work on some projects, right? That is what is going to set you apart. You don't want to be eating your jollof rice and your eba and other food and it tastes like sand in your mouth. But you have this cool job that everybody in your family is happy for. But for you, you are just dreading, to even open your laptop. You don't want that, right? And some people even go to the extent of having others write a certification for them. For those people, I don't know what they are smoking. It's a joke. Like, whom are you fooling? Me or yourself? Right. So that is my take on the certification side. So look at it from that perspective. To be competitive and to stand out from everybody else, employers are simply looking for what you can do and what you've done. Right. So even if it's not a Eretmis internship, go work on something somewhere. Right. Go work on, like, when we speak like this, people think, yeah, there, Dr. Edu, you just want to sell your internship. And far from that. I mean, that is the best program out there for hands-on, but far from that. I tell you the truth. Right. So, and people here, some people wouldn't say anything, but they've gotten cybersecurity jobs and they've been laid off. And for them, it was it was when they were fired, they were so relieved and like, oh, thank God, even though they got fired, because that process that they went through, the heartache that they were going through was crazy, right? So that would be my take. Now let's move on and jump into some other questions. You need to have experience before you write CISA. Yeah, so for secret CISSP, CISA, those certifications, they require you to have at least 5 years of working experience. And for that, if you have a degree, that counts towards as 1 year of experience, right? And then also, depending on the different areas they are looking at, if you work in IT, some of the things you've done will apply, right, to the years of experience. So you can check that out on their website. CISA, you can look at ISAC's website to look at the years of experience. Now, if you don't have the years of experience, you can still sit for the exams. When you pass, you become an associate, and then you wait till the 5 years when you have the working experience, and you apply for it. But some people will sit for it and just apply, have somebody endorse you and pass. But either or, it doesn't really, like I said, for the certification space, you have it, it's good. You are a continuous learner. But what have you done? The security space, right? So, okay. Jamil said he got disconnected. He was asking about the starting salary for your position without. Okay, the starting salary. Okay, so Michael, starting salary, if you can give us a range for the position when you started, what was your starting salary? And then, so hold that one. And then, okay, going back again to some of the questions. Okay, for the internship and what you are doing now, you've just told us is the same. The same thing you're doing on the internship that you are doing on the job. Now, to address the question in the topic, can you give us 5 to 10 actual steps and things to know to be able to perform all the roles or all the roles in the GRC space, right? So, 5 to 10 things or steps that you need to know or to take to be able to perform all or most of the roles in the GRC space. So, like, for what you are doing, Michael is doing some third-party role, risk analyst stuff, right? Compliance stuff. So, if you can give us at least some 5 to 10 tips and tricks on what to do in terms of preparing ourselves, and then if anything else that you want to add to this, but you can start with the salary. What was the basic, like,
So
what was your starting salary? Yes.
yeah, so range, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, so the range was between 110 and 130.
Okay. And 5 to 10 actual steps slash things to know to be able to perform all the jobs, all the job roles in the GRC space.
Yeah, so I mean, so the GRC space has different areas, right? So I'm not sure if the question is specifically to the steps in each and every area, or what are the areas, the main focus, like the main areas that you should focus, as a GRC analyst, right? So if you just want to know what are the main areas, I mean, there is like all the areas under GRC are main, right? So policy review, vulnerability management, right? Risk management, and under risk management, we have vulnerability management, third party risk management. Also, having experience with risk register, which you get from the internship. So with the internship, you actually get to build, a risk register. So you actually hands-on training on a risk register, right? Audit, definitely, right? So those are audit is definitely key, to function as a GRC analyst. Definitely employee, when it comes to training awareness, right? So everything training awareness. Within that, we have, phishing simulation, as well as, providing training awareness and making sure that everybody in the company actually, goes through that training. For people who are already in the company, and also for new hires. So those are like the main areas for GRC, right? Policy review, risk management, audit, right? And I mean, the name itself says it all, right? GRC. So everything which falls under governance, you have to be an expert in, right? Anything that falls under risk, you have to be an expert in, and anything that falls under compliance, you have to be an expert in. So I mean, in order for a company to hire you as a GRC analyst and pay you all that money, you actually have to be an expert in all those areas, right? So you can't just focus on a few. Like you actually have to know, because once they hire you, they are going to put you in charge of those areas. So you are going to actually be managing those areas. So you can come back and say, okay, I know maybe these three or four, but I'm not an expert on this one, right? Which you have to be because you are the person in the company who have to provide expertise on that specific area. So you actually have to know all the areas of GRC. You can just pick and choose which one you want to focus on.
Okay, thank you, Michael, and hopefully that answers your question. I think whoever asked the question, if you have a follow-up, you can bring it up.
No,
But
it's
there
me.
is
I think it's
yes,
me. I
go.
think he hit the nail. Thank you so much,
Okay,
Micah.
yes, yes, you're welcome. Okay, so there is one. How do you collect evidence from third-party vendors? Do you use any GRC tool or through emails?
Yeah, so we use a GRC tool, right? So for onboarding process, the GRC tool does everything for us, right? So basically, once we are notified that we have a vendor coming on board, and we have certain questions that we ask or certain criterias, and if those vendors fall under those criterias, then that means we have to do a risk assessment on them. So number one, like some of the criterias we have is, are they going to have access to our network, right? Are they going to manage any company proprietary data? And they're going to have access to our sensitive data, right, or any kind of sensitive information. So we have like quite a good amount of questions that we ask, and if the answer is one to any of those, then that means we have to do a risk assessment on them. So definitely we use our GRC tool, and with the GRC tool we send out a questionnaire to get more details, right, on the company profile, what type of data they are going to be accessing, or what type of access they're going to require, what type of data they're going to be accessing, and just stuff like that. So basic information about the company profile, and then we just enter it into our GRC tool, and then we track it. So like on a yearly basis, we'll go back and do a risk assessment on that vendor to make sure that they are still in good standing. So yes, everything is done through a GRC tool.
Okay, thank you, Michael. And I think there was one on here. Uh, so the question from Abraham, does a degree obtained overseas count in this scenario? Like, if you have maybe a degree from a different country, that goes on your resume. Does it have any impact on your application, or what was your experience, Michael?
So I actually, went to school in the US, so I wouldn't be that familiar with that. But I would think, it doesn't really matter where you got your degree, right? As far as doing a background check, you can prove that you have a degree, right? So doing the background check, they're gonna number one, either call the institution that where you got your degree from, or they're gonna request you to submit maybe your diploma or your transcript, right? So they have ways to find out that yes, this person actually has this degree. So I mean, I don't think it's necessarily an issue wherever you got your degree. As far as if the requirement is minimum bachelor's degree and you have a bachelor's, I think you should be fine, right? You just have to be able to back it up that, hey, yes, this is I have this proof, which might be a transcript or a diploma, or you guys, it's okay for you guys to call the school to verify that yes, I did attend this school and graduated from here. So I don't think there is really a lot of differences between a degree and the other. And if there is, I wouldn't know because I went to school in the US. I got my bachelor's here, so I actually didn't have to, go through that. But I wouldn't think that that will be an issue because I do know
Okay.
people in the industry from other countries who actually had their, degrees from outside the US. So
Okay. Thank you, Mike. So let me help out here. So we have a lot of Bettina uh, from last week, Cyber Chat. She has a degree from Ghana. We have a lot of folks, and one, a degree is not necessarily a requirement, right? It's not a hard requirement. If you don't have it, they're not going to pick you. Now, two, if you have a degree from any country, a degree is a degree. So if you have a degree from any country and is from an accredited institution, you are able to further your degree or go do masters or PhD in other countries as well. So if the degree doesn't cross borders, then how are you able to go further your education in the United States, in the UK, in Europe, right? So degree from an accredited school from any country counts because we're in a global village. So, and there's some misconception, right? We had a student some 2 years ago, 3 years ago, who was applying to jobs and she would go to interviews. She wouldn't be moved to the next stage and she would go to interviews. And so she was pretty one of the smartest students, top 5, top 10 that Eretmis has that we've had so far during her time. But she was struggling, and partly because she wasn't really paying attention to certain things that instructions were giving her. But then she came back with the excuse. One of her friends told her, "Yeah, they said if you have a degree from Ghana or from other countries, they look down on it." So now she came up with, "Dr. Edu, we think, I think I should go get a degree from." A degree in the United States. And I'm like, why? Yeah, because that is what is preventing me from. I'm like, that is nonsense. That is sheer nonsense. Guess what? She didn't get a degree from anywhere. Now she has 2 cybersecurity jobs. Just with that degree that she thought wouldn't work, and her friend who wasn't working in cybersecurity was the one advising her. Now she has 2 cybersecurity jobs with the same degree that they wouldn't take. So that should answer your question, right? And we have students who had just high school from different countries, and they are all working now. So that shouldn't prevent you from, if anybody is telling you that, is a lie. Frank, who just answered one of the questions, I mean, everybody here, Frank, we've interviewed Frank before. When Frank started Eretmis, he started with a guy who was called Clement, right? Clement, a very bright student, bright young man. When we were halfway, I think we were done with the whole program. He wanted to sit for Security Plus, right? Clement was working in a factory, and apparently his uncle or somebody told him, "Hey, if you are black, you can't work in cybersecurity. They're not going to, give you a role. So why waste your time?" So Clement just disappeared, right? Because he's one of the really good students. So I was worried. I mean, what happened to Clement? So Frank knows somebody who has an acquaintance who knows him. So they reach out to him. Hey, Dr. Edu has been trying to reach out to you, and his response was like, "Well, my uncle said, yeah, I can't get a job because I'm black." So he just dropped off, and that was like 5 years ago, right? Now Frank, who is also black. I don't know if now he's white, but Frank is a PCI manager in his company. Frank is working in cybersecurity now. He started with somebody else who wasn't in the industry told him, if you are black, you wouldn't get a job. And he just followed that. So now he's still working whatever he was doing. Frank, on the other hand, who I don't know if now he's white, but Frank, I know definitely is still black, has a job, right? So those misconceptions and where you live and your address, it doesn't matter. If you go to an interview, they are indifferent. They don't know you, and they want somebody who will be able to do the job for them, right? So kindly have that, at the back of your toolbox. So with that, we are moving on to the next one. So how do you make sure your organization's departments are compliant with requirements? Do you give each department a checklist to make sure they are compliant, or do you personally have to check every department's controls to ensure compliance? That is one question for you.
yeah, that's a great question. So, right, so example is, so we are in compliance with SACS, right? So through the GRC tool, we have IT controls that kick off, right? So we have some that kick off on a monthly basis, on a quarterly basis, which is every 3 months, on a semi-annual every 6 months, and every year, right? So basically, once those IT controls kick off throughout the GRC tool, it's gonna notify the control owner to submit evidence, right? So once they submit the evidence, we review the evidence to make sure that okay, we are still complying with that IT control, like we are meeting the requirements and the standards, right, for that IT control. So that's how we ensure that the company stays in compliance. So the process is automated. We don't have to go knocking and checking every department. So most of our IT controls, right, are assigned to the various departments, and then every month or every 3 months, depending on the frequency for that IT control, they have to submit their evidence, and they do everything through the GRC too. So once they submit it, it's going to notify us. We go in and then review the evidence or documentation that was provided to ensure that that documentation actually meets the control, what we call the control test, right? So basically making sure that that requirement meets the standard. If it's ISO, if it's SOX, that's how the process is going to work, right? It doesn't really matter what framework you are working on. You have your IT controls, there's a control owner. The control owner knows what has to be done. And once they get a notification, they go ahead and upload their evidence. And then we, the internal audit team and the GRC team, we review it. And then once we review it, we actually go ahead and verify that everything is actually, like the right documentation was submitted. And then once we get audited, and that's part of the audit as well, right? Once we get audited by the external auditor, they're going to ask us, okay, example, right? For password parameters, right? Show us your documentation or evidence for password parameters from maybe January to March, right? What all we do is we go into the GRC tool, we filter and pull out the password parameters for the month of January, for February, and then March, and then we show it to them, right? So that's how we ensure that the company stays in compliance with the standards and the requirements of the framework. So hopefully this answers that.
Okay, thank you, Mike. So there's a question in here. Can the knowledge in the internship be transferred into RMF, right? And so Mike is not necessarily doing RMF, but if he has a take on this before I answer this.
Yeah, and yes, and so basically RMF, right, is not cyber. That's what I want, most of us to understand. RMF is not cybersecurity, right? ISO 27001 is not cybersecurity. They are part of cybersecurity, right? But somebody out there teaching you RMF and telling you, hey, with RMF, you're going to be able to function as a GRC analyst. There is no way you're going to be able to make it, right? Because RMF, it's a framework, right? It's a framework, it's a standard, let's say, by the government, right? So you pick RMF, you pick ISO, you pick NIST, right? Yeah, probably also PCI as well. All those frameworks basically are best practices when it comes to cybersecurity, controls and measures you put in place. But just doing RMF it's not gonna be enable you to survive or make it, right? And as Dr. is gonna say, just with an RMF training on the job, it's just gonna be a walking heart attack because RMF is not actually gonna help you, right, when it comes to all those areas that I mentioned earlier. You're not going to be able to function just based solely on your knowledge of RMF, right? And when it comes to the internship, definitely the internship you're going to be doing auditing, right? So with the audit skills that you're going to gain from the internship, you can apply that skills to any framework, right? So like during our internship, I think we did CIS controls and then NIST, right? But now I'm not doing CIS controls, right? I'm doing NIST, I'm doing ISO, I'm doing SOC, and I'm doing SOX, right? And the knowledge that I got from that internship, I was able to transfer that knowledge to the other requirements and other frameworks, right? Which you could easily do with the RMF. So, but just having RMF alone is not going to be, it's not going to help you in the industry. So that's my take, right? So hopefully we'll see what Dr. Du has to add to this.
Yes. So we have students like Benes and others who went through the internship and they are working as ESOs or ISOs in doing RMF specific RMF roles, right? So yes, what you're going to get out of the internship, it translates into all areas of cybersecurity, right? So beyond RMF and beyond any framework, right? So because inside the RMF framework, guess what is in there? It covers all areas of cybersecurity. So you are looking at some governance in there, some compliance in there, some risks, and incident response, and everything else, awareness training, and all this you are doing in the internship and you're actually doing, not just in like, being looking at the theory, right? And I think there was also another question. So Carla is asking, how long ago did you complete the internship?
Yes, I completed the internship in think let me see. So I joined Eretmis in April, so April, March, April. Let's see, I can't even say my month. So January, February, March, April, May. So yes, I completed in May actually. So I joined Eretmis in somewhere in April, and then I completed my internship in. So I joined my internship in April, and I completed in May, and actually was able to land my job before actually finishing the internship.
All right. So thank you, Mike. I think there are some few other questions here, and then we will wrap up because we are almost about on the hour. So 83 on the chat and about 25 thereabout on YouTube. I think the last questions that we have here, and you can raise your virtual hand also as well, if you want to ask some questions on there. So I'm just going through the chat to see if there is any questions that I missed. But whilst I'm doing that, Mike, if you have any last words for anybody, especially for folks in the internship now, and for those who are looking to jump onto the internship, and even for those who are trying to start cybersecurity from scratch, right, from different fields or from different backgrounds. What will be your advice to them? And if you are supposed to do what you are doing today, walk us through knowing what you know, what are some of the things that you would have done differently, or what would you do? If you still go the same path, like what would you do? Maybe take some things more seriously, or some things, not so much. If you can give us your last words with, what I've listed as guidelines.
Okay. Yeah, so I think like in terms of my cybersecurity journey, right? I don't think I would have done anything differently, right? When it comes to my cybersecurity journey, I think probably the one thing I would say is that I would have, loved to have, found out about cybersecurity earlier than I did, right? So basically, I mean, since I got into cybersecurity and went to the entry level course and the internship with Eretmis, I mean, it has basically changed my life, right? Like everything has changed, the flexibility, right? Having to work from home, and my wife, works from home as well. So you can imagine, like it's like it's just a family situation that cybersecurity has enabled me to have. Like it's just great, right? And I don't think I would have done anything differently because backing off a little bit, and I think I actually did mix up the previous question, right? So you were asking when I joined Arithmetic, and I got a little confused on the dates. So yes, I did join Eretmis in April 2022, but I actually landed my job in August, right? So it took me about 5 months from when I joined Eretmis to land in my job. So I did the entry level course for about I think in 6 weeks, right? I finished the theory part in 6 weeks, and then I did the 2.5 months internship, and then I landed my job. And that's the reason why I said, in terms of my journey, I'm not going to change anything because it actually took me 5 months from the transition, right, from healthcare to cybersecurity. Like I did everything in 5 months. And I quite remember when I first spoke to Dr. Edu, right? When I spoke to Dr. Edu, I told Dr. Edu I want to be working in, within 3 to 5 months. And Dr. Edu smiled, right? Like this guy is crazy. Like, yeah, you are coming all the way from a different field, right? Like at a healthcare field, trying to get in cybersecurity, and you're talking about wanting to work, within 5 months. And truly, truly, I was actually able to do that, right? That's what I'm saying. I wouldn't change anything because, like, I really had a perfect journey, right? 6 weeks on the theory part, and then once I was done with the theory, I quickly enrolled in the next internship class. I did my internship, and during the internship, Dr. Du was actually the one, pushing me to apply for jobs, right? Initially, I was like, let me just go ahead and finish the internship and then take my time and then apply for job. But he was like, no, just start applying. So I started applying, and then I was able to actually land my job before the internship ended, right? So my advice, to anybody on this call who's trying to get into the field or who's currently doing the internship, right, is okay. For number one, for those doing the internship, you are actually at the right place, right? Because I have been through, and I know a lot of people who have been through. The program is tested, and it's actually going to, provide you with a skill set that's going to enable you to function once you land your first job, right? Like, I mean, and you guys who are in the internship, you can tell, right? And I mentor some of the internship classes, so I know, I see the messages, I know the intensity of the training, and I can tell you, like, it's going to pay off definitely, right? And for people who are looking to join, like me personally, I'm not here to sell arrangements to anybody. All I say is, right, I've had people, right, come to me and tell me, okay, hey, maybe arrangements is too expensive. So I'm like, okay, that's fine, right? Wherever you think you can get a solid course that provides you an internship, just go do it, right? If arrangements, you think arrangements for me, right, is the best because it's what worked for me, right? But if you think maybe it's too much for you, just make sure that wherever you go, don't let people lie to you, right? Because there's a lot of people out there. You see all these flashy, nice ads on Facebook, on YouTube, lying to people, hey, you're going to get a job in 90 days, right? That's what most of them say. You're going to get a job in 90 days. Sign up, you're going to get a job in 1 month, in 2 months. Look at Dr. Du's ass, right? Dr. Du's not going to promise you you're going to get a job in 90 days, right? But what Eretmis can promise you is whenever you decide to put in the work, you're actually going to get back a lot, right? So basically, you're going to be equipped with the skill sets and the knowledge that's going to enable you to actually function, right? Nobody here is going to make you false promises because nobody here is going to make you false promises about guaranteeing you getting a job in 90 days, as most people out there do. So, arrangements might not be the right place for you, but whatever you decide to do, please don't go spend, because I have people reaching out to me, right? They spend 15,000, 12,000 taking classes here and there, and then guess what? They all turn back and then come back to arithmetics, right? Which is crazy, right? Maybe you spend 3,000 here, 2,000 here, 4,000 here, and all that money adds up, right? So why wouldn't you just take your time, settle down, right, and spend the money on a course that you know is actually going to help you and equip you with the knowledge, right, and give you all the tools and the skill set that you need, right, to be able to survive on the job. And trust me, you don't want to get on the job site and, as Dr. Du said, being a walking heart attack. Because I've seen it too, right? And I've not been in the industry for too long, but I've had people, reach out to me. They were able to land a job, but now, right, they are scared every day getting up to go and do the job is like it's a hassle, right? It's a headache because they don't know what's going to come. Because you're not. It's not like it's not their fault, but they actually weren't, they didn't get what they were supposed to get before landing their job. So once they're on the job site, they're always scared, they're always worried, right? That, hey, my manager might find out I don't know A, B, and Z. But, right, you're in that position, you're going to be struggling at night, you can't sleep, you can't even eat. And I've seen those, I have people calling me, right? And then I have to sit them down and then walk them through. So what I would say is, whatever place you decide to do your course, just make sure you vet the person. Don't let people lie to you. Nobody out there can promise you to help you get a job in 90 days, right? So just be focused, be intelligent, right? Take your time, don't rush, do your research, vet whoever you're going to decide to go with, right? So that would be my advice because it's just hard, this happening, seeing how people are wasting a lot of money and then turn around and then come back and end up with arrhythmias. So that would be my advice.
All right, Mike, and I think there was a question in the chat, last one. So the question is, are you still with the same company or did you change companies?
Yeah, so I'll let Dr. Du, answer that. So Dr. Du knows my situation. So
Okay, so Michael is with the same company with an added on, right? So
Mhm.
uh hopefully everybody gets that. So I mean, one cyber chat, I was, encouraging everyone, hey, even if you have a job, just apply to other jobs for fun. And Michael always takes my words seriously. So Michael started applying for fun. He landed the same job doing the same thing in another company. Right. And I think somebody was asking if Michael is making all that money from one role. He's actually doing two. Right. So, and also if anybody has any question on, hey, how do you combine two roles? You can ask Mike, and he'll be able to answer you. So, Mike, if you don't mind, you can put your LinkedIn in the chat, and it's that way people can reach out and help and talk to you, and also pick your brain on some other things that they want to pick your brain on, right? And for everybody else, our next internship starts on the 29th, which is going to be next Saturday, not this one. And I think George George, please reach out after here. George Owusu-Berima, right? George Owusu-Berima, kindly reach out after here. I have a message for you. So okay, Mike has his LinkedIn and number also in here. So I think that should do the work. Now, any questions for Mike before Mike leaves? I think there's one in there. LinkedIn. So I think they are still asking for the LinkedIn. If you don't mind, Mike, you can go through the LinkedIn for us.
Yeah, so I'm actually not on LinkedIn, right, for obvious reasons. But yes, so that's my number. You can reach me. You can reach out to me, right? I have a couple of people actually reach out to me every day. So yeah, it's the best way to get in contact with me. So just, text me, call me, whatever, and we can get to talk.
All right, and Mike is very supportive. So as we're wrapping up for our courses, our AI course is still ongoing. Our cloud security still ongoing. So if you're looking into cloud security, best place to do your cloud security. And for folks looking to start from scratch, our entry level course, which comes with the internship as well and job placement as well. And then PCI, if you want to specialize in payment card industry. Also, you can look into that also as well. And then our GRC internship and workshop, what Mike talked about. So exactly what Mike did in the internship is what he's doing on the job. You can also look into this also as well. And our cyber chat group has been posted. The YouTube channel also posted as well. And as we are wrapping up, we appreciate everybody's time. We are going to meet same time next week. So next week, just be on the lookout. We are going to bring a different role, somebody doing a different role as well to also discuss and talk about what they are doing. And Jamel, yes, I'm tracking you. And you are trying to reach Sami also, and good luck. Okay, so I'm tracking you. Kindly put that in the class chat, and I think they'll take care of you. But okay, so that is for the cloud class. Okay. I'll reach out to them and kindly give you that insight or that response. All right. Appreciate everybody's time. We're wrapping up for tonight. Have a great and wonderful weekend. Stay blessed, and we are going to meet next week, same time. And as you're coming next week, kindly invite friends and family who want to learn and grow in the security industry. And I hope you got something for your toolbox tonight. Have a great and wonderful evening, everyone.
Doctor, you didn't forget to post my thing for me, did you?
No, it was posted in there, so kindly check.
Hopefully it doesn't go out before, because things go. My God.
Or you can simply put cyberseek.org.
Cyberseek.org.
Yeah, cyberseek, like SEEK.
Okay.
Yeah, .org.
Thank you.
And
Thank
then
you.
for the compliance for the competency model, just type in cybersecurity competency model in Google. It's going to pull it up.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
All right, everyone. Have a great and wonderful weekend.